Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Fulfillment Era podcast. This is episode 21, My Guide to Healing from a Heartbreak, part 2. Let's get into it. I hope you guys are feeling good going into this week. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's kick things off by doing a little vibe check. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together wherever you are listening from, wherever you are at. Let's just reset into this space together and go ahead and take 3 deep breaths. So go ahead and take that first inhale in and exhale it back out. Second one in and exhale it back out. Last one in. Hold it. Release in 3, 2, 1. Exhale it back out. Amazing, amazing, amazing. In today's episode, this is a continuation of last week's episode, which I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it provided some value and insight for you if you have been going through a breakup, if you have been still healing from a breakup, whatever it may be. Today's episode is going to be more focused on present and future healing. And last week's episode was like, how do we really get over the initial pain, the initial hurt? How do we get through, all of these thoughts and everything going on? And now that you might have gotten yourself to a better place of, maybe some more regulation with your nervous system, more emotional stability, maybe seeing things a lot clearer, I wanted to be able to kind of clear the space and show you, okay, now here's the fun part of healing from a breakup, which might not sound fun, right? Like healing from a breakup is tough, but the fun part is what you get to now take control of in your life, which is who you are and the life that you are creating outside of your ex and outside of that relationship, which some can find terrifying, overwhelming, uncertainty. There's a lot of things that are up in the air because you envisioned a future with your ex, right? You envisioned some type of future. And a lot of times we're mourning the loss of that future. We're mourning the loss of that future with that person. We're mourning what could have been. We're mourning the potential and all of those things. And I really want you to view this as a mindset switch of, oh, I get to now be in control of my life. I get to now decide who I want to be. I get to decide the life that I am creating. And that's what today's episode really is going to be about, is how do you continue to move forward and really create the life that you want? And I want to preface this episode that I am hosting the Life Rebrand Masterclass. This is a brand new masterclass coming to the coaching space for myself. It's something new that we are adding. It is going to be a free masterclass. It's going to be on August 23rd at 7 p.m. Central. If you are interested, I will put the link in the show notes. This is going to be very similar to the things we're talking about today, and that's executing a life rebrand for yourself. And if you're not going through a breakup, but you just feel like there's a lot of stuck and stagnant energy in your life and you just want to switch things up, change who you are, change things in your life, this is going to be the perfect start to that. So that's the Life Rebrand Masterclass that I'm hosting. I'm super excited about this because honestly, that's what I've done. As I went through my breakup, I started evaluating, okay, who have I been? Who do I want to be? What's the life I now want to create? And I created a Notion board called the Adriana Rebrand. And that is what I've been going through. And that is what you guys are seeing me kind of step into and go through and start to really make some changes in my life. And I get the consistent feedback that I'm glowing. And it's because of all of the steps that I've taken from this breakup to really create this change. But even if you haven't gone through some traumatic, life-changing or life-altering experience, you are so in control of making the changes that you want, and you are so capable of making it happen. Maybe you just need a little bit of guidance and support from your girl to light that fire up under you. So that is what my hope and intention is for that masterclass. So the link will be in the show notes. I'm super, super excited about it, and I hope to see you there. And that's what we're kind of getting into a little bit with this episode. So I have 5 steps for you. I always like to put some things into steps to make it really easy and tangible for you guys. So the first one is going to be aligning with your new identity. I really have been getting into what's called self-concept work, and I'll actually put a episode that I listened to I believe her name was Madison, but this podcast was just so helpful for me in redefining what my self-concept is and really aligning with who I want to be. And so if you don't know what a self-concept is, it's basically the concept you have of yourself. It is how you view yourself, your traits, your qualities, your beliefs, your thoughts. It's your current self-concept basically got you to the point where you're at today. So if you have the self-concept of I am capable, I am smart, I am enough, that has created your reality that you have now of doing things that scare you or going after challenges or putting yourself out there, right? Whereas if you have a self-concept of I can't be good at that, I'm not good enough. I had an old roommate that had a poor self-concept of herself that no boys like her, right? And that then creates your reality, essentially. And you have a beautiful opportunity after a breakup to redefine who you are and who that self-concept you want to step into is. And I really want you to think about, who are you now? Who have you been recently? And then who do you want to be? And I want you to think really hard about this and maybe journal, if you were you 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever time frame, what would you look like? What would you be wearing? How would you be acting? How would you be showing up? What thoughts would you have about yourself? What beliefs would you have about yourself? And really starting to think that. I'll just share right now, one of the things that I added to my self-concept was I always get called cute, but I never get called hot. And that always stuck with me. So I literally have just been telling myself, I'm hot. I'm hot, and I've gotten hotter, I feel like, because of that, because I've just been radiating that energy and I've been choosing to believe that about myself. And it's going to take a lot of mindset work with this, but that's kind of the basis of aligning with your new identity, is really starting to look at, okay, who do I want to be? And I want to fully emphasize that whoever you want to be is already within you. It's just about turning the volume up on those attributes and really tapping in. And it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's so possible for you, and you are so capable of making it happen. And you can, journal, map it out, whatever you need to do. I journaled and mapped out who I wanted to be. I mapped out affirmations that align with like the beliefs that I want to have about myself. And I also, came up with some characteristics or qualities about myself. And I put this all into like a Notion page for me. I went to Pinterest. I made I grabbed a couple Pinterest pins and made that into a Pinterest board. Then I took those photos and made it into a vision board. All of those things to remind myself, okay, this is the person that I am then becoming, right? And with this aligning of new identity, it's going to come with some type of morning routine or practice or something like that to remind you of the person that you are, and essentially creating for yourself and stepping into. And there's more really to it, of how you can actually start to embody this identity. But I want you to just, in this initial phase, start to get curious about who you are and who you want to be, not who you think you should be, not who your ex saw you as, not how your friends or family views you, but truly tune in to your authentic and true self and think about what does that person look like? What do they do? How do they act? Who do you really want to be? And you can almost view this person as like an avatar, maybe, or an alter ego or something that you can like tap into anytime you want to, of like, okay, my current self, Aid, she might scroll on TikTok when she wakes up. But my highest self version of me, which I've named Adriana, which is my actual real name, she's the one that gets up. She's the one that has her green juice and goes to the gym and takes care of herself, whatever, right? I've kind of personified Aid as like not my highest self necessarily because it's a nickname, but I've personified Adriana, like, oh, Adriana's here, I did my Electric Forest workshop, my first in-person workshop, and I tapped into Adriana, the energy of Adriana, because Adriana gets up, she gets things done, she shows up, she does the job, you know what I mean? And similarly, Adriana's hot, Adriana's beautiful, Adriana's glowing, I've really tapped into that as like who I'm embodying and whatnot. So I hope that makes sense. That's going to be step number 1, aligning with your identity and who you are wanting to step into outside of the, who are you wanting to step into now that you do not have your ex in the picture? Then moving on to step 2, executing a life rebrand. So that is what kind of kicked off this masterclass that I have coming up, which there's going to be a lot more details and steps and things within that masterclass. But really asking yourself, what do you want your life to look and feel like? What experiences do you want to call in? What are some of those things that you've had in the back of your mind that you want to execute and make progress on? What would you be wearing? What does your home look like? Things like that. I do have an area of life audit that I love doing. This is an exercise I love doing with my clients and with myself, where you go through each area of life. There's 8 areas of life. You give it a rating and you give it a reason why. And I'm going to put that in the show notes because that's a great place to start if you're wondering, like, I don't know what's going on in my life, right? That's a really great exercise to kind of just take an audit of where everything is at in your life of, okay, this is where things are at. And then you can also brainstorm what you would want to do to make that area of life a 10. So for example, if I was going through this, right, maybe I would rate career a 3 out of 10. And maybe because I hate my job, I don't love my job, I hate going to it, blah, 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 blah. Then maybe my next step is figuring out a new job, figuring out what's my next step with that. Or similarly, if I live at home or I live with a roommate and that area of life is like a 5, what would be some steps to make that area of life a 10? And really looking at all of those things. So you can kind of look at like maybe an initial point of like where you want your life to be in the next 3 months. And then maybe think future state of like, okay, what would that look like in 5 years? I have a hard time future state planning, but I kind of just have an idea of like, this is where I would like to get to, right? And doing a life rebrand of, okay, I'm choosing to step into this new chapter of my life where I'm going to dress differently. My home is going to look differently. I got a new phone case. I even got a new scent. So like I changed up the scent that I'm wearing. I've changed up like little things here and there, and you don't have to break the bank for this, and you can do some little slight changes like that. So you do feel like you're stepping into a new chapter of your life or a new version of yourself. And then the final kind of part to this step, I want you to declutter and detox in this like phase of doing a life rebrand. And what I mean by this is going through everything in your home, in your closet, anything like that that does not support this new identity and life that you are creating. You don't need to completely throw away stuff, especially if there's like sentimental value to it. But if there are clothes that like you've been holding on to, maybe clothes that don't necessarily fit you, whether they're big or they're small, or they're just clothes that you've kept for just in case and then you've never worn them, start decluttering and detoxing and even cleaning up your digital space. Like start unfollowing people, start cleaning out your file storage, your photo storage, whatever it may be, and just start cleaning up because we're essentially making space for new to come through. If you're continuously holding on to things in the past or continuously holding on to things in general, it's not allowing space to be made for new things to come in. And sometimes we need to let go of things in order for that to happen. Essentially letting go of your ex, letting go of what could have been. All of that is what keeps people in that state of healing because they're not accepting and they're not moving forward. So decluttering, detoxing is a great way to go, especially when you're going through a breakup. I moved all the photos and videos of my ex to my hard drive. I just didn't want to like deal with it, but I didn't really feel like deleting it. So it is taking space up over there, but it's not taking space up in my phone, if that makes sense. But even then in past relationships, like I've thrown some stuff out that was just holding energy or whatever. I've donated some clothes in the past couple of months because it's just not feeling in alignment. I've gotten some new furniture. I've gotten a new phone case. I've done these little things and here and there because I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't feel aligned for me anymore. Or I don't need this. I don't need that. Decluttering, detoxing, that's going to be a really big step within this executing a life rebrand. Then moving into step 3, so continuing to move forward. And then the final thing I will say about these past 2 steps of aligning with your new identity and executing a life rebrand is that this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be exciting. So I want you to make it a fun, collaborative process with yourself. Put on some vibey music, really tune in. Maybe do a higher self meditation where you visualize yourself. Make it fun because this is supposed to be fun and exciting. And I want you to like really tap in and feel into the energy of being your highest self, going through a day in their life, what it would look like and what it would feel like, because that is so important when it comes to manifestation and just aligning with your desires. So I really want you to make it a fun and collaborative process. And then as you're doing these things, we'll move to step 3, which is to start putting yourself out there. You know, all of this healing work, all of this like life rebrand stuff, this is all stuff that's really like done at home, right? So I want you to continue to move forward and continue to do some of those things that I've recommended you do, but also start putting yourself out there. I made myself like a summer bucket list of things that I just wanted to do around Austin. I've actually checked off a good chunk of things, I feel like. But I've just said yes to everything. I'm in my yes era. I'm in my doing it for the plot era, whatever it may be. And I think it's super beneficial to just go out there and have some new experiences, create new memories. You don't need to be going out to the bars or anything unless you want to, but maybe like come up with some fun things to look forward to, whether it's going for a walk, going to, you know, I go to H-E-B here in Texas, but like if I were to like, you know, treat myself, I would go to like Whole Foods or like Trader Joe's. They're not close to me, you know, so that's like an outing, right? Come up with like little dates to have with yourself or things to do with your friends. I've really leaned on my friends on this time, and we've done a lot of fun things this summer, and it's been such a great summer. Even if you're not doing like a summer bucket list, because maybe like you're listening to this when it's not the summer, maybe you just come up with like, for the next 3 months, I want to do these fun little things with myself and actually follow through with them. So what I would recommend is making your list of things that you want to do to put yourself out there and then scheduling it into your calendar of when you're going to do it. So if you want to do like a social media detox, you know, put it in your calendar, put it in your planner, put it in your calendar, whatever it may be. Start putting action behind the things you say that you're going to do. But putting yourself out there just helps because it again reminds you that there's so much life to experience out there, and there are an abundance of people out there to meet, and you never know, like it's not necessarily a time for you to get back into a relationship, but it's so great to just meet other people and connect with other people. I went to a singles boat party, and it was actually really funny because these 2 guys that we just connected with, me and my friend Rachel, they also had been going through breakups this year. So we were a little like breakup support group on this singles boat party, you know, and it was just kind of funny to just talk to other people about things and hear what's really going on in their life. And yeah, I just really want to emphasize, like, you might have a period of isolation and being at home and healing, but also the healing work can happen outside of your home by putting yourself out there and not shutting yourself off to life experiences or not closing off your heart to potential love, interest, and whatever. And I think use your discernment for when it's time for you to go on dates and when it's time for you to like maybe go on dating apps and things like that. I am not on the dating apps. That's just, you know, personal preference of mine. I have no interest in going on dating apps. I've just held on to the belief that, you know, I'm going to meet my person out and about, you know, I've always held on to that belief. And it served me really well. So I've just been doing things this summer that I've put myself out there, been saying yes to things, doing fun, different activities, picking up different hobbies, just try out different things, because in that process, you learn more about yourself and you just also learn more about life, I feel like. And it just feels good to go out and like live life. Like I've had such fulfilling days where we were out on the water or we were doing this, and I would just come home and I would just be so at peace with everything, and I would just feel really good. And that's what's attributed to like this glowing energy, right? I'm a generator in human design, and me going out and experiencing my life just fills my cup up, which allows me to continue to expand and glow and be lit up by things that it then impacts the people in my communities and whatnot. So that is step 3, start putting yourself out there. And then step 4 is to hold space for yourself when you do get triggered. Now, the first 3 steps, it's all fun, it's exciting, we're all doing these things, but I really wanted to normalize that there's going to be times where you are triggered by a memory or by seeing your ex or by seeing one of your ex's friends or sibling or whatever it may be. And I think it's just so important to normalize that, 1, you're human. 2, this person meant a lot to you, and it's going to take time for you to heal from it. And it's better to feel whatever you are feeling, to journal on whatever you're feeling, to talk about whatever you're feeling, and normalize it and recognize it and accept it, so that way you can like move through it. There's been a couple times where I got triggered and I just held space for myself and I asked myself, what do I need right now? And sometimes it's putting on Olivia Rodrigo and crying it out, or Chelsea Cutler and crying it out. Sometimes I need to call my mom or call a friend. Other times it's like, I do have pity party days where like maybe the day's just not going well. And I kind of am like, all right, I'm going to spend the rest of the day watching Love Island and sit in my bed and just be, and that's okay for you to do. When you are feeling these like consistent highs of excitement and everything like that, when it comes to your healing journey, you're also going to feel those dips and those lows. So it's all ebbing and flowing, and you just have to do the best that you can and just be really kind to yourself as you go throughout it, because I would be lying if I said I haven't continued to feel grief, especially when I was mapping out, the life I want for myself and realizing, oh, like this person might not be a part of this anymore, and kind of like feeling into that there is sadness, right? That this person, isn't going to be a part of that picture or that vision that I had hoped for. And that's okay, right? It's kind of all a part of life. You know what I mean? So I think it's just really important to be kind to yourself and hold space for yourself when you do feel those things come up, and just do what you can to manage them. I would rather you feel it out, write it out, express it, whatever it may be, notice it, and then move through it and know that like you are still on the right path. You are still creating the life you want. You are still resilient. Just because you're still crying, 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later, right? It's okay, because there are those feelings and thoughts that are going to come up. And it just means that one, you experienced a love like that, which is really beautiful. And it also means that because you've experienced a love like that it's possible for you to experience it again. And then two, like that this person really meant something to you, and it's just going to take time. But I hope that by feeling your feelings, doing what you need to do, you can also have that excitement. It's like that duality of like two things can be true at the same time of I'm excited for the life I'm creating, but I'm also sad that this isn't the person that gets to be a part of that, right? Or I'm excited about the person I'm growing into, and I'm sad that I'm not with this person to grow with. These can be true at the same time, and it doesn't take away from where you're at in your journey. It doesn't take away your strength, your resiliency. It doesn't take away any of that. It just makes you human at the end of the day. And the final step we have is repeat. Nice and simple. Keep going through these steps, especially with, when we're talking about identity creation and life creation. This is something you're going to keep coming back to time and time again. So I would just keep repeating this process of thinking about who you want to be, creating the life you want to create, and going out there and putting yourself out there to make it happen. And there's definitely more intricacies behind identity creation and life creation and all of these things that we're going to touch on a little bit in the Life Rebrand Masterclass. And there's going to be some other opportunities where this comes up, but I wanted to keep things short and simple. There could be more parts to this eventually of healing from your heartbreak, but I want you to really tap into that energy of I get to create the life I deserve. I get to be who I want to be without someone telling me who to be. And just know that there is such power in owning that, and no one gets to take that away from you anymore. Not your ex, not anyone. Even if we're talking about like an ex-best friend, or like maybe you're not in touch with your family or anything like that. Like you get to be in control, and you get to create the life you want. So I invite you to think about, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And just love the heck out of yourself this whole process through, because at the end of the day, you only have you. So that is all I have for you today. And I really just want to finish off that, the life you're building for yourself is going to be even better than you've ever imagined, and you don't even know it yet. So just hold that hope and hold that excitement. And if you feel doubtful, I will continue to hold that for you. Let's pull some cards for a little affirmation and the energy for this week. This was a nice little short and sweet episode. I feel like I've been doing some really long podcast episodes, so this has been nice. Oh, the cards always know. Affirmation for this week is nothing is impossible for the heart. Love will always find a way. Indeed, she will. Nothing is impossible for the heart. Love will always find a way. Note from your higher self says, don't settle for scraps. This is your reminder to not settle for less than amazing. In your career, in your friendships, in your relationships, there's too much goodness flowing around you for that. You only receive what you believe you deserve, so raise your bar and rise to meet your blessings. Abundance, joy, and creativity are your birthright. I cannot make this up, you guys. This is such a good one. Don't settle for scraps, and especially with the life you're creating and who you want to become. You get to set that standard for yourself. So I just think that's perfect validation and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Feel free to share it with a friend. Leave me a review, all of the things. I'm so happy to kind of be in this motion of creating and doing this podcast for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. And do not forget that entering your fulfillment era is your birthright. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.